All right, I got 6 o'clock. Let's call village board order. Please stand for pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I thank everyone for their attendance, and in the minutes can reflect the call of the various trustees and staff. Congratulations, all slate of trustees. Gotta say it. So.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to item 3. Entertain a motion for the approval of the 4-4 village board and the file of the 2-9 architectural review board, 3-8 public safety committee, 3-14 board of public works meeting minutes as presented.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Motion second, as always. Comments, questions, clarifications on the minutes.
Yes, I have one. Public safety minutes. And it's first page in the middle where we're talking about trustee Harvick asked for a motion to recommend approval of the contract. Trustee Harvick then made a motion to approve the contract and asked for a second for the evidence room upgrade. There was no second. The motion failed, I believe is how that should read. I think, except it's not in the minutes again. So I think this is, it's a little wordy. So Katie, maybe I can also come to you after. Okay, if that's okay with everybody.
As long as you just bring it back, then this one, the whole board really should be.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. But
Okay,
it
that
isn't.
correction, any others? All right, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Item 4, anybody in the audience wishing to be heard on a non-agenda item? Forward, this is presented by the president. Item 1, for confirmation of the village board committee and commission assignments. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Item B is a motion to approve the 2022 Arbor Day proclamation.
Move to approve. I'll second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Item E, we had a question that was directed towards Mike, and so Mike drafted a response regarding attendance. So if you want to give us your 1-minute summary.
Yes, happy to. First, I just want to preface when I'm saying that this is not driven by some complaint or some concerns, even I wouldn't even call it concerns. I think it's really driven by questions that have been raised primarily by board members too. And so that brought your administrator to me to ask for some clarification on board members attending committee meetings. And I also want to be clear, there's no harm in board members attending committee meetings. That issue's been resolved in a famous case called the Badke case. I cited in my board members can attend committee meetings. But what the Badke court said was, if there's going to be a quorum of the village board at a committee meeting, then a separate notice telling the public and the media and everybody that the quorum of the village board will be present should be posted. So that's where we always encourage, if you're pretty darn sure you're going to be going to a committee meeting, warn the clerk, and she can put what we call the bad key notice on the committee agendas. So the main concern is here that we want to comply with the open meetings law, and so that would require that separate notice.
Pretty straightforward stuff. Any questions?
Just to kind of dovetail off of Attorney Herbrand's comments, the Badke notice, legal advice is that we can't simply just put the Badke notice on all agendas because that really kind of dilutes the purpose behind it. That is the current legal interpretation and case law that I understand. So thank you very much for everybody's consideration in contacting the clerk's office, as Mike noted in his letter. So just wanted to clarify that point. We can't just simply blanket put it on all agendas for that reason.
Sure. So are we allowed to ask questions at the other committee meetings?
Yes, you could certainly, as the Badke court pointed out, it's understood that your own conscientious, leaders of the community, and you go to these meetings, and we talked at a staff level, and certainly like at the plan commission, you often get consultants and experts that you want to ask questions of. I think the latter part of my memo, where I talked about making comments, what we want to dissuade is making sort of policy sort of comments at the committee level. If the worst example would be, I'm definitely voting against this when this gets to the village board. That's a discussion, that's a policy discussion that should occur at the village board level, where it's been noticed and discussed. But certainly questions and information gathering and
All right, let's move on to item 6, resolutions, ordinance, action items. Item A, for the Board of Public Works. Item 1 is a motion to recommend the village board approve the radio network design study and site surveys for TCIC for $14,600 in frequency coordination and FCC licenses by TCIC for $6,210 as part of the water and wastewater telemetry network be approved.
I'll second.
Motion to second again. I clarified it, but this is just part 1 of the mosquito map and this is covered by ARPA funds. Any questions? Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Item 2 is a motion to recommend the village board authorize the purchase and installation of 2 new, this is the actual spelling. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. Pumps, 2 flush valves, and 1 transducer in the amount of $45,583.40 be approved.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second. How do you pronounce it?
Flight.
And
It's a brand name.
out of where?
They're here in Pewaukee.
I mean, originally, is that really? It doesn't sound like American.
No, they're German, maybe. I think that looks
All
German.
right, I know I'm getting a little off topic, but motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Item 3 is a motion to recommend the village board award contract 22-2, the 2022 sidewalk replacement to Beardsley Concrete of the scene for a contract amount of $46,856 be approved.
Move to approve.
Motion second. This is the annual sidewalk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Item 4 is a motion to recommend the village board authorize the purchase of a new asphalt hot box from Midwest Paving from Glen Ellen, Illinois, the amount of $23,787 be approved.
Make a motion. I'll second.
Motion is second. Comments, questions on that? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Move on to item 7, department and officers report, starting with Jesse.
Absolutely. Very happy to report. As of 4 o'clock this afternoon, when I checked on the status of our recently launched community survey, we have had 91 responses with 100% completion rate. So within 24 hours, we've actually surpassed our 2019 total return. Just for a bit of historical context, 2021 saw 156 surveys returned. 2019 saw 85 surveys returned. 2017 was our banner year recently with 198 surveys returned. So this is 24 hours of online presence, whereby we are well off with 100% completion rate. As I mentioned previously, I'm in the process of scheduling in-person presentations to different housing developments as well as social groups. So we're looking to really build out that number as best we possibly can. The survey is open for 3 weeks online, and during that time I will be looking to make my site visits as well, so that way we can accumulate the responses and then in turn come back to committees and start working on the related areas of emphasis updates. The other item I have to report this evening actually relates to the photographs that I placed on the dais this evening. Those photographs are 2 representative photos taken by our parks director and building inspector and staff on a recent walkthrough at Veterans Park. I did authorize an emergency repair as the deterioration has really moved well past what we initially thought. We thought we thought we had a bit more time in dealing with this. However, there are certain areas, in particular 4 stand supports in the concession stand area and 3 support posts under the shelter roof were found to be more deteriorated than originally thought. Further, it was found that some of the posts were actually installed without proper footings, which is unfortunately exacerbating the problem. In an effort to really avoid any significant issues, the repair was ordered with the goal of having these repairs completed prior to our first rental scheduled towards the end of May. Director Hoyer will be discussing design ideas with the park board tomorrow evening in an effort to get direction for staff to explore design options and bidding out, whether it's building new or remodeling the existing structure, and really looking to refine that project scope for us to pursue and get some budget figures to tie to it in order to get this project moving, frankly, faster than we initially forecasted. So I wanted to make the village board aware of that pretty significant recent action. So those are the 2 big things I have to report for this evening.
Public Works, water, wastewater. Anything? All right, any questions for Jesse, Amber? Yeah, let's start down at the end.
Jesse, do we have any idea what the expenditures are for repairs on that area?
Yes, we spoke with a contractor who was recommended by our building inspector, Lee Carter Construction out of West Bend. Number 1, they're capable of doing these types of repairs, and 2, they're available, but we are looking at a total estimated cost of about $23,000 because they are going to be, part of that scope is to dig down and put new sonotubes and concrete with rods and brackets to support where the footings weren't found, and then to shore up the deteriorated supports.
Are there going to be any repairs to perhaps the folding doors
On the one side, no. At this point, no. Mm-mm.
So Jesse, is there talk that we are possibly going to use ARPA funds for veterans, the veterans? building
That's going to go on the list for us to talk. I guess that's a very valid point, Trustee Harbeck. Another item here, next week, staffs or the departmental capital improvement plan proposals are due to the finance office and myself for review and staff level meetings to talk through different priorities. We are then coming forward to committee to talk through what the CIP will look like for the next 5 years and how ARPA would fit into those funding scenarios. As you know, capital projects are generally funded through tax levy and or borrowing and or grants. ARPA is part of that discussion as well. So yep, that is forthcoming.
Okay, because we had talked about projects for this year, and I know
Yes.
we have one more year that we can talk about
Yes.
projects.
Yep.
Okay, and my second question is, I know you've been busy. Any thoughts on when we may get some engineering estimates for Cedar Street? Amber? The engineering for Cedar Street, possibly with redoing them next year?
Gonna be a little bit, we have to get televising done first because we don't really know what scope of work we need an engineer to look at. So that is our first step. We're working on getting quotes for that so we can move forward with televising.
And then I want to thank Amber. This last weekend, there's work going on 17th and Holly, that whole area. It rained, the streets were flooding. The police came over to check it out, and Amber came over herself to check it out. So thank you, you went above and beyond. Well, thank you.
Very cool.
Go ahead.
So I saw on, I think it was a weekly update that you said leadership had authorized the repair of the poles on Highway 60 using the ARPA funds.
Yep, that was one of the projects that we had.
Do you
Yep.
know what the dollar amount was?
We don't. That is yet to go out for bid. Right now, Director Thomas is actually working with the Department of Transportation on what the best post structure would be. Because of its location up on that pedestal on the bridge and the vibration of the bridge, it's not a standard ground mounted pole, or shouldn't necessarily be. It should be a bridge mounted pole dealing with the wind load and the vibration. So Director Thomas is actually working with the DOT to get that answered. So that is working on getting put together and bid out.
So we're looking at replacing all of them, not just that one that's the old.
We are, that is the
Yep.
goal.
Yep, that's the
So
scope.
So to that point, requirements on like the banners and stuff like that, you have that accounted for?
Yes, we will make sure that they pull banners
Yep.
and hopefully even hanging flower pots so that we're covered in the future.
Question I had, getting back to veterans, sounds like some of these fixes are rather permanent. Knowing that we're looking at possibly doing a major project with that. I mean, I guess there should be a balance about how much we want to invest in a building that would maybe substantially.
Sure. And we are basically right up on that line. Right now, we have these areas that are in significant disrepair that we need to shore up to avoid issues. And really after that, it would be cosmetic work. But right at this point, these are the significant
No,
repairs.
I get it,
But-
I would do, let's not think about doing a, unless there's a different thought process here, I would do the minimum amount of work to make it safe. And
Yep.
get us to a point where we're looking to do that full build.
No, and that's exactly where we're at. I think what's really driving the issue or the price right now is the fact that we found that some of the posts don't have foundations or footings underneath them. So, yep.
That was my point.
Yep.
I concur. I hate to see us throw good money
Mhm.
as a Band-Aid to something that really needs to be totally rebuilt.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Because we've been working on this project for at least 3 or more years that
Yep.
I'm aware of, that I've been pushing.
No,
It's just sad that we haven't done anything, or been able to advance anything forward in that period of time. I know there were reasons and why things got held up, and
Sure.
COVID certainly didn't help the progress of that project, but we really need to get a good design finalized.
that we do. That we do.
And that should be in progress right now in my.
Yes, looking for guidance from the park board, because there are plenty of options out there that we could explore. I mean, is it a matter of basically redoing what we have right there? Is it a tear down and I, kind of lightly call it a Zon Pavilion 2.0, another year-round structure? Does it take some other shape? So because there are so many different scenarios that staff could go down as far as trying to get design estimates and proposals, just looking for guidance from the park board on that, to try to help whittle that down a bit so we can move forward more expeditiously. And quite frankly, I wasn't, what really drove the emergency repair is at least one of the support posts we found was almost half gone, where it met the concrete. And so we knew we had to do something there. And the other areas were in rough shape. But that being said, this is where we want to get it shored up to make sure we get through to the point where we can get the project completed. Yep.
Well, I mean, you said COVID, but honestly, if it wouldn't have been for ARPA funds, we still have this discussion next year on how to do it. At least now we have a funding mechanism.
Well, the legwork that had already been done recognized that all of those posts needed to be replaced.
Mhm.
That was a given. I think we'd already replaced 4 of them some 5 years ago. And Gary Helm at that time made note that all of these are in bad shape and they're not far
Yeah.
behind in terms of that need for replacement.
Right.
So there's been a lot of planning done prior to this already.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of that planning actually was really good. I don't know if Chad had a chance to take a look at it. but-
It was a mixed bag with regards to the planning that's been done to date. We did try to bid it out with a general scope. And unfortunately, what we got back was exactly that, a very general bid response with a lot of contingencies built in because there were a lot of unknowns. So what we're hoping to do now is, again, have that discussion with the park board. What is that vision? So we can finalize and really narrow down and hone in on a specific design. So that way we can get that and get a responsible bid package out there and look to move forward.
Could I just have the Lions contributed in the past to any repairs over there?
Yeah, we replaced the roof ourselves.
Okay, so there's that was a big savings.
Goes back like 15, 17 years ago.
Okay, so that was a big savings for the village,
Mm.
that the Lions had done that.
All right, well, we have a project.
We do.
We have to deal with it. Any other questions for? Okay, let's move forward. Licenses, don't have any. Move on. For bills, entertain a motion for approval of expenditures, $335,818.57. Motion. Second. Comments, questions on bills? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. Item 10, motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? For the new group down here, excellent work. You guys did